The Tour of Britain gets underway. Stellar performance here then by Bradley Wiggins. Simon Yates coming up to the line. What a ride! Oh! What a tight finish that was.
Hello, welcome to Stage 2 of the 2017 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. To paraphrase AC/DC, we're back in Blyth. Now, I'm not really sure if the Australian rockers are big in Colombia, but this place certainly is, because Fernando Gaviria won the sprint last time the Tour paid a visit 2 years ago. In fact, the sprinters were in form yesterday in Kelso with a blanket finish in the Scottish borders.
After the grand depart from Scotland's beautiful and historic capital, once the flag dropped, it took no time for a breakaway to form. JLT Condor's Graham Briggs was most eager to get away up the road. Back in the peloton, though, the first crash of the week. Fortunately, there were no serious casualties. Eventually, the break became 8 riders working very well together to stay away. The Iceberg sprints with their time bonuses were well contested, as were the Skoda King of the Mountains climbs. Madison Genesis's young Connor Swift doing very well to feature here. He's a class act, like his World Tour cousin Ben. Eventually, the break was whittled down to just a pair of poles, and they would both end the day in jerseys. One Pro Cycling's Karol Domagalski getting over an annoying knockdown by a team car early on to secure the Iceberg Sprints jersey and the Combativity Award, while Lukasz Ozian of CCC Sprandi Polkowice taking the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. The last climb in Dingleton proved to be a shakedown once the peloton was all back together. Some big names going out the back, one at the front, others limbered up for a sprint finish in Kelso.
Caleb Ewan down the centre with Boysenhagen, and it's going to be Caleb Ewan on the line.
The overall classification almost mirrors the stage result, with this being the first stage of the 2017 Tour of Britain, except Karol Domagalski sits in third by virtue of intermediate time bonuses.
Janto, with today's stage being the longest of this year's race at 211 kilometres once they set out from Kielder water, and it's fairly lumpy to begin with, it has the feel of an Ardennes Classic, really.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, there's lots of climbs in very grippy roads, up and down all day for the first, well, at least for the first half, and then it does flatten off, and there's a lot more of a rolly finish for the last 60, 70 Ks.
I mean, it should suit someone like Philippe Gilbert if he feels the need to get up the road. Hard to tell at this early stage. What do you think?
I think it's probably a little bit too early, and when you talk about riders like that, they need selection kind of ramps much later in the stage to make sure that they don't have too far to go after they've done the damage, if you like. So I would expect to see a breakaway that goes away, and then the bunch will definitely try and bring that back, but ride steady for the first 60, 70 Ks, keep it easy.
We're stood in the middle of what is quite a long finishing straight here in the town of Blyth, so I think we can expect a sprint of sorts at the end, whether it be a blanket finish like we saw yesterday or a full-on bunch sprint as well. Who would you think is going to be up there in the reckoning today?
Well, I said Viviani yesterday, though he was third, but I think he's a very, very strong candidate again for this stage, but equally Ewan could win again. It will really come down to the lead-out. So we saw yesterday Ewan had a fantastic lead-out, and he made the most of it against Boasson-Hagen, who just didn't quite get it, and I think that will be the decider again today, whoever's got the most men and times it the best coming into this finish straight.
And as I said, Fernando Gaviria knows this place very well, having won here a couple of years ago. But for all the sprinters, what goes into honing their craft? Are they born with it? Is it something they learn? Well, we caught up with the very best in the business to try to find out.
He's waiting and waiting and waiting as they go for the line. Roy Van Poppel there on the left-hand side. Cavendish looks so cool, calm and collected. He's already got several bike lengths advantage. Listen to the crowd roar. It's the world champion. He's got several bike lengths advantage. No one's going to stop Mark Cavendish now. He gets his hands in the air. It's his third win. Third stage victory for Mark Cavendish.
This is going to be a tremendous finish. Is it going to be Madola? Is it going to be Cavendish? Cavendish on the right there. Now beginning to crouch and bury himself as he looks for the line. Cavendish just gets the head of the race. Here he comes up to the line. Mark Cavendish wins stage 4 in Clanberries. Oh, and a million plus behind.
Every sprint's different. It's about making decisions. But you're not born with it. You learn it. You learn it from doing it. You know, and the more you do, and the more you remember what you do, and the more it becomes natural. I think I do see things different to other people. I definitely learn things and remember things, and if you can learn and remember them enough, think about them enough, it does become kind of more natural to do.
Cavendish, who always enjoys the lead out of Renshaw, he's holding the bunch at bay, and the Australian, here he comes. Renshaw takes it on the line, Cavendish second, and they both give the victory salute.
We would have already organised in the morning the stage where and what would happen, so we'd probably have a good idea in the final how we want to approach the lead out or you know, dropping off our sprinter in the right position. So I think here it's a little bit smaller race, we don't have as many big teams. So in the run-in we will more likely try to hold back as long as possible and really try and come late.
But still waiting to release himself is Greipel. Here goes Greipel now. Greipel on the right, and it's Caleb Ewan that's in the wheel of Greipel. Can Ewan take it off Greipel? The line is getting closer now. He's looking for it, he's looking for it. Here comes Greipel. Greipel takes it, first place on the line.
I think the most important thing is the position. The position you are is always tactically, because you need to understand where is the first point where you want to be in position, like maybe if it's one tight corner at 500 meters to go or 1K to go. I think position and control the effort to take the position and be fresh for the last kick.
Caleb Ewan on the extreme left. Ewan is coming through on the extreme left. The Australian's going to get it. Caleb Ewan's going to take it. Caleb Ewan takes it on the line.
The way I guess you kind of reduce all of the risks of getting caught out of position is having a good lead out, and the teams are so small here. Sometimes you run out of guys early, and then you kind of have to look for other teams or look for a team that's maybe hasn't had to do so much and try to guess, I guess, like who's going to be strong in the end and follow wheels from there.
Caleb Ewan tries to come off the wheel of his teammates. They're onto the cobblestones. Caleb Ewan down the centre with Blyth and Hagen, and it's going to be Caleb Ewan on the line.
Really whets the appetite for some of the racing we've got in store for you today and for the rest of the week here on the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. A bunch sprint is one of my favourite things in the world, in cycling or not. I just love them. Janto, why couldn't you do it like that?
I wish I could. Unfortunately, I didn't have the talent, but it's interesting listening to the guys talking about what they're focusing on. Mark's talking about learning, positioning, timing, and again, Viviane was talking about positioning was absolutely vital and key, and that's something that changes every stage, every day, every run-in. Every difference in speed means that you need to be slightly further forward or slightly further back, and they all know that.
You always get plenty of changes as well at the Tour of Britain, plenty of variables to take into consideration. The road surface, the weather. It's a bit overcast here in Blyth today. We're expecting maybe a bit of drizzle for the finish as well. So let's have a closer look now at today's route.
After heading away from Kielder water, there are three wonderfully named King of the Mountain climbs to contend with: Winter's Gibbet, Cragside and Corby's Crags. The peloton then heads north to the Northumbrian coast and the first sprint in Sea Houses. The day's second sprint is at Warkworth, with the teams continuing south for the final gallop at Seaton Sluice. Then they head to the finish in Blyth and the end of the longest stage of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Building of Kielder water started in 1975, and it is now the largest man-made lake in Northern Europe. The reservoir is situated in Kielder Forest, the largest artificial forest in the UK. A great football match is reported to have taken place between the men of Tynedale and Riversdale at Kielder Castle back in 1790. The port of Blyth was first recorded from 1138 when monks at the nearby Newminster Abbey exported salt. The main town of today was developed in the 18th century around the port and local coal mining. Stage 4 of the 2015 Tour of Britain also finished here.
OK, you're armed with plenty of information to be going on with now. Let's get straight to the action with our commentators Brian Smith and Marty McDonald.
Thanks, Matt. The riders are rolling out on the neutralised start here from Kielder Water and Forest Park, heading down to Blyth, 211.7 kilometres today. This is our beautiful start today at Kielder Water and Forest Park, the largest man-made lake in Northern Europe, owned by Northumbria Water. Holds about 200 billion litres of water, just about enough that your average cyclist will drink in a year. And it was built between 1975 and 1981, and 44.3 kilometres all the way around. Its depth is higher than Nelson's Column, and Kielder Forest attracts over 250,000 visitors every year. It really is a beautiful area. Really great choice for the start for the riders. Kilometre 0, the flag is in, and straight away you can see Matt Holmes of Madison Genesis trying to go clear. So similar to yesterday, as we said, plenty of the British teams at the front looking to try and get themselves in there. And straight away, Brian, you can see that Skoda King of the Mountains black jersey of Lukas Ovsyan trying to get into this early move.
No real surprise there. He's got 1 point advantage on the, I think it's Lawrence de Plus from Quickstep Floors, and he wants to get some more points. He made a big effort yesterday trying to get in the breakaway, and likewise today making that effort, taking some more points in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition. It's a nice jersey to have, but Matt Holmes for Madison Genesis trying to attack. Yesterday the first attacker was Ian Bibby. Ian Bibby again up there yesterday. But today is another day for everybody. The legs are a little bit sore from yesterday. I think everybody thought that yesterday was a little bit easy on the legs. Believe me, I've ridden around a lot of the roads in the borders. They're really heavy roads, and they'll feel them today. But Matt Holmes just been joined by Graham Briggs and the Swiss champion just jumping across as well.
Sylvain Dillier just trying to get in on the move here. You can see 208.7 kilometres remaining, so we are going to be here for quite a while. Setting it up now for the sprint for the top. Jacob Scott from On Post opens it up. Lukas Ovsyan of CCC latches on in that jersey. Scott looking good here. Can he take maximum point to the top? Townsend trying to come through for Bike Channel Canyon, leaving it late. Rory Townsend makes the charge, but Jacob Scott takes the maximum points over the summit. Let's just take a look back at the sprint for the summit. So Jacob Scott clearly getting maximum points over the top. And the throw to the line looks like Rory Townsend just taking second ahead of Lukas Ovsyan. And then Matt Holmes and Graham Briggs crossing next. The peloton just climbing Winter's Gibbet. And the name of the climb here comes from one of Northumbria's most haunting monuments to the area's bloody past. Winter's Gibbet's got a scaffold with its eerie carved wooden head swinging at the summit, the ever-present breeze, and it's just a chilling reminder to anyone of how felons were once dispatched in the area. There's a good shot there of your Iceberg Sprints jersey leader, Kamil Domagowski. Took that jersey yesterday. Iceberg, the country's leading alcohol-free wine brand. Do a lot of sponsorship in British cycling. The Iceberg brand. Karol Domagowski getting into that breakaway yesterday, and he'll be hoping that he can potentially try and pick up some points and seconds at the back end of the stage today. All of the Iceberg sprints come in the second half of the stage. The first at Seahouses after 92.9, 61.5 at Warkworth, and then the final one coming very close to the finish at 14.7 kilometres to go at Seaton Sluice. There's Primoz Roglic just drifting back. We saw Bernie Eisel, as Brian said, coming through towards the front. He looked like he was going to give Rob Power a bit of assistance, but he looks like he's had a chat and gone back.
Yeah, it looks like that. They're quite content sitting at 4 minutes. Yesterday it was about 3 minutes, but only one team riding, Team Sky, sitting back today. They came up very quickly yesterday. I sat back. Quick Step Floors also getting involved. So they go over the top of the first climb of the day, just over 4 minutes down, with Robert Power from Orica Scott leading the way at the front of the peloton.
James Losley Williams crosses in second place. And the rear end of the peloton just crest the summit. Great views at the top of Winter's Gibbet. The score is quite interesting when you drive into the hotel in the evening and the team trucks are all there, and as you said, the mechanics are all out. The mechanics and the Swannies are the hardest working people in a bike team, aren't they? By the riders, you know, they're the first up in the morning, they're the last to bed at night. And when we drove past, Mark Renshaw was out with the mechanics, tape measure in hand, and that as well. The riders are constantly out, aren't they? Just, you know, there's some riders that are very, very particular about their bikes and their position.
But Mark Renshaw's like that. It's attention to detail, and that's why he's so good for Mark Cavendish.
Setting up now for the next King of the Mountains summit. Our leader is going out a little bit earlier than previously. He's recognised that he doesn't quite have the horsepower in the sprint in a straight battle with Jacob Scott, but Scott gets onto the wheel. Rory Townsend latches on there in third place. Graham Briggs on the back, but a good move by the CCC rider, Brian. He heard your advice, clearly.
He has to go earlier, and I think he has to go again, because he's hurt them, and he has to hurt them again. He's given them time to recover. He has to go. He showed yesterday he's strong enough. He has to go again, but Jacob Scott, I think, is the fastest of the finisher. There's only 2 points between them, and Graddick tries to go again, but Jacob Scott takes it on from the front.
Scott winds it up now for the summit. Alcyon tries to get in there. He's recognised that he was about to go, and look at the acceleration of the on-post chain reaction rider. Graham Briggs just gradually getting across the gap. Is he going to get it on the line? Yes, he is. The JLT Condor rider takes the maximum points over the top of that one, and Jacob Scott, though, takes second place. It looks like Alcyon, our King of the Mountains leader in that Skoda jersey, just comes over the top next. And you can see here, Brian, on that climb, the battle for the King of the Mountains really has spread this breakaway group out.
Yeah, you can see it here again, that Townsend didn't have anything, initial acceleration there, but Jacob Scott has been anticipated as one of the fastest finishers, but just don't discount Graham Briggs, who nips across and actually saves the day for Alcyon, because if Graham Briggs hadn't come round Scott, they would have been equal in points. Scott and Alcyon, only 2 points of a difference. With Graham Briggs coming round, it's done Alcyon a favour, so Alcyon still leads that competition with another King of the Mountain still to come, so it's all to play for.
You see the spectacular shots across Cragside here. The second Skoda King of the Mountains point of the day. The summit coming with 153.8 kilometres to go. We're seeing a couple more teams now coming through towards the front. 147 kilometres of the stage remaining. The gap to our breakaway group still holding fast now at 5 minutes and 15 seconds. You saw a bit of a split over the top of the previous climb. You see the Skoda signs at the side there. That signifies the start of the next climb. This is Corby's Crag, and this is a 1 kilometre climb, average gradient of 7%. Brian, expect to see similar tactics on here from Lucas Alcyon in that black jersey. He's got to try and find a way to tackle the sprint of Jacob Scott.
Well, he has to, and you know, with this shorter climb, steeper climb, does he have the strength? And Jacob Scott looks good. Graham Briggs has now put himself well to the fore in this competition. As it stands, Alcyon has 17 points, Scott has 16 points, and Graham Briggs has 11 points. So I don't think Graham Briggs could possibly take the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey today, even if he wins at the top of this climb, because I think Scott and Alcyon will feature well. But if Graham Briggs gets in a breakaway on another day, he's well up there in that competition. So it's going to be a battle between Alcyon and Scott, and Alcyon obviously wants to try and keep a hold of this jersey. And he's got this climb to try and beat Scott, but Scott, I think, is the man to beat in this climb, because he really wants to take the lead in this competition.
There's those red and yellow flags. Matt Holmes out of the saddle. Watch the for the acceleration of Jacob Scott. Alcyon in that black and green Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, just sat behind Rory Townsend on the front. Again, Rory Townsend didn't quite have the acceleration, the stamina on that previous climb. Once that move went, Sylvain Dillier just keeping the rhythm on the front, not getting into the mix, as you would expect from the Swiss champion from BMC. So he's leaving it up to the rest of the riders in this group to battle for the King of the Mountains point. Dillier will have designs on trying to take this move all the way to the finish if he can. So this is our final Skoda King of the Mountains point of the day. All of the climbs coming in the first half of the stage. And you can see the summit ahead, Alcyon and Scott alongside each other. Briggs, number 113 there, just out of the saddle, looking around, a real wily rider is Graham Briggs. He's had second on a stage of the Tour of Britain in the past. Matt Holmes out of the saddle on the front for Madison Genesis, Kamil Gradek, and now you can see they start the move. Scott starts to sense that Graham Briggs is coming alongside him. The CCC rider here is able to keep an eye on everyone just ahead of him, just having a chat now with Sylvain Dillier on the back of the group. So interesting chat going on at the back here, Brian.
Yes, always nervous times when you don't really know where the top of the climb is, and you're trying to keep an eye out. But I think also in a very good place at the moment. Matt Holmes just dropping back as well. He could try and surprise them. He has to try and surprise them, because only 1 point difference at the top of the leaderboard for Alcyon. And if he tries to go for a long one, I think he has to try again, because I don't think he can match the speed of Scott.
You can see a sort of difference in cadence between Jacob Scott. They see the summit, and Rory Townsend now opens it up for Bike Channel Canyon. Graham Briggs trying to close down to Townsend. Jacob Scott is there, and Alcyon at the moment gapped between them, just battling now to try and get on. Jacob Scott just has a glance and now opens his sprint for the top. Briggs reacts. Alcyon's trying to close down. Townsend goes backwards yet again. Here comes Briggs. Late charge by Graham Briggs. Up the inside now of Jacob Scott. Graham Briggs, maximum points over the top of Corby's Crags. And that's two climb victories today on these Category 2 climbs for Graham Briggs. Briggs climbing well today.
Yeah, Graham Briggs, the climber, former national criterium champion, very good sprinter, and he's just shown that at the top of these climbs. These climbs in Britain are suiting the British riders. It's still early in the race, stage 2, and what a great effort, which puts them on to 17 points.
So we saw moves there by Alcyon on the climb. We saw Rory Townsend go. Jacob Scott here. It's just the power of Graham Briggs. The difference you can see in the power of the two riders. Briggs dives up the inside there and takes that one from Jacob Scott. Jacob Scott in the saddle. Look at Briggs closing down that gap momentarily into the slipstream of the on-post chain reaction rider. And the sprinter that he is, as Brian said, former national criterium champion. Gets through. He won the Tour Series in Croydon earlier on in the season as well, the JLT Condor. Back to the front of the peloton, and now you see Theo Gegenhardt in the black jersey of Team Sky. That's now come up towards the front to assist in the chase. You can see that gap now is sitting at 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So after it went out over 7 minutes and 5 seconds at one point with 157.1 kilometers to go, the peloton recognizing the danger of letting that gap go out too far, and they're just gradually, little by little now, just starting to drag back that breakaway group to a manageable distance. We're going to take a short break. Back soon. Welcome back to stage 2 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. You're looking at Bamborough Castle, once home to the kings of ancient Northumbria. Bamborough Castle is one of Northumberland's most iconic buildings. Lining up for the sprint, Lucas Alcyon on the front in that Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. Been battling it out that with Jacob Scott today. So the Sea Houses sprint, 3, 2 and 1. Second, 3, 2 and 1 points. Kamil Gradek, his teammate Karol Domagowski, is in the lead in that competition. One Pro Cycling wanting to keep it in the team. Jacob Scott getting onto his wheel. Rory Townsend up there. Watch Dillier and Briggs. Dillier will want some bonus seconds. So it looks like Gradek took that one from Dillier, and Briggs will wait for confirmation of that result. But good to see the Swiss man getting up there and looking to try and take some bonus seconds. He, of course, has designs on trying to take this race overall in the general classification.
I think that was the sole reason why he got in the break in the first place. He wanted to look at opportunities, maybe take some seconds, and it did look as if he took a 2-second bonus there. But good sprint from Gradek for One Pro Cycling. His teammate Domagowski had the lead in that competition, and he wanted to try and keep that in the team. Well, Gradek took it on from the front, and you can see Townsend was trying there. Never had the legs in the end. Dillier coming up very quickly, so was Graham Briggs, but just looked as if Dillier took second place there from Graham Briggs. So Gradek, Dillier and Briggs, the first 3 across the line.
See the sign just on the left here, which signifies the start of the Iceberg sprint. You see the dynamic of our breakaway group now changes with 1 kilometre to go to the next intermediate sprint, all to play for here in this Iceberg Sprints jersey competition. Karol Domagowski leading with 6 points in this one ahead of Mark McNally. Graham Briggs was third in the competition going into today. He's already had 1 point on the intermediate sprint. If Graham Briggs, number 113 there in the dark blue and maroon of JLT Condor, if he wins this one, he takes the jersey. You can just see him having a word there with Sylvain Dillier. And Dillier, though, it's all about the bonus seconds for the Swiss champion. And the gap drops under 2 minutes for the first time in a while. And lining up now, Gradek on the front. Here goes Dillier. Briggs making sure he's with the BMC man as they line up for the corner. The One Pro Cycling rider, Kamil Gradek, on the front, leading out. They're going to have to time this one perfectly in the run up towards the line. Gradek opening it up really early here, but here goes Sylvain Dillier. Graham Briggs, though, right into the slipstream. Gradek holding that front position. They swing left, and Sylvain Dillier opens it up. It's going to be between Dillier and Gradek. Dillier takes it, and it's going to be close between Graham Briggs and Kamil Gradek for the second sprint.
Well, it's a close one there. Gradek came round the corner, kind of pushed out the 2 other riders, Dillier and Briggs, but Dillier got this one. Whether Briggs got seconds, we'll have to wait and see.
It was Kamil Gradek that took second, with Graham Briggs in third. Heading through Morpeth, the historic market town, and we've passed through here in the Tour of Britain in 2008, 2009 and 2015, and the River Wansbeck meanders beautifully through the town centre. And again, Brian, it's important for the race as well, isn't it, to revisit towns and villages and cities along the route, because the fans remember from the last time that the race came through, because there was a definite buzz here in Blyth this morning when I was wandering around from those spectators who are not cyclists and not regular cycling fans, that excitement of the race visiting again.
No, it's important. You know, even after Kelso yesterday, a few people said to me, "Oh, can we have our town back again?" And I said, "Of course you can, but we'll be back in a couple of years." And they said, "Oh, great, can't wait." You know, I think everybody just enjoys being part of the Tour of Britain party.
So the man that started everything this morning, Matt Holmes, now kicks off the front here for Madison Genesis. He's decided that he wants to try and take this breakaway as close to the finish as he can.
No, I think there was an element of people starting to save. The breakaway was being kind of pegged back nearer to the 1 minute mark. Some riders were starting to suffer. They've already been, you know, sprinting for Skoda King of the Mountains points, and you can just see, you know, the Skoda King of the Mountains leader looking behind. She'll push on, will you know, sit up, and I think Matt Holmes, there was a sense of, you know, we need to push out, and we don't want to be caught just quite yet.
300 metres to go up towards the finish line for Matt Holmes through here in Blyth. We've had a great atmosphere throughout the afternoon. We had some kids racing at the finish for everyone to enjoy. So 1 kilometre to go to the next sprint as Mark Stewart just moving up on the outside in the green. There's your 1K to go banner. This is a sprint 3, and Holmes just fighting with everything that he's got here to try and hold on through this one. He should make it through the line on the Iceberg sprint. And then this should then line up, and we'll see the sprinters teams just moving around, trying to get their sprinters into the right position. And you see them now just trying to open this one up. And Holmes still holding 15 seconds, constantly just checking under his arm just to see where the peloton are behind. And if the camera pans around, there is a shot of the peloton now spread across the road, ominously close. Quite an imposing sight for a rider when you look back and see that big bunch spread all across the road. And you see there, as you said, some nice wide roads for the run in towards the finish.
Just look at the blue jerseys also towards the front of Wanty Group Gobert. The rider that was in the breakaway yesterday, Mark McNally, is in 5 points as well. So if he can take the second place here, then he stands a chance of taking that jersey, and you can just see him in second place.
So a good move now. Mark McNally is there. Is that Russell Downing that's trying to get up there in the sprint as well? Matt Holmes is going to take maximum points through there, but it looked like the Lotto NL Jumbo jersey, Lars Bohm, just takes a look back, and it's Graham Briggs, storming ride there by Graham Briggs to get up there.
So the result of that sprint was Holmes in first place. Lars Bohm, a former winner of this race for Lotto NL Jumbo, continues on the attack. In third place there was Graham Briggs.
Great ride by Graham Briggs. Welcome back as they come in towards the final kilometres. Gilbert out of the saddle, and want to try and keep himself as high up in this peloton as possible. We're seeing the Great Britain cycling team as well coming up towards the front of the peloton. Cannondale Drapac, you see the Irish national champion in that white jersey with the green helmet, Ryan Mullen. But at the front you have Geraint Thomas of Team Sky, Vasil Kirienka, Mikhail Kwiatkowski just talks into the radio just to give the riders some instructions. Niels Pollitt and Reto Hollenstein with Tony Martin, and you can see Tony Martin just shouting to the rider in front of him. And Team Sky trying to line this up now for Elia Viviani and Caleb Ewan at the moment just a little bit further down the front of the peloton, but we see them doing it over many stages and many races. Orica Scott, they know how to time this one perfectly.
Yeah, this is a controlled good effort here from Team Sky. They've got 4 riders in front of Elia Viviani, but Team Dimension Data just holding back a little bit, but they've got 2 powerhouses at the front of Geraint Thomas and Vasil Kirienka, but this is a timed effort. It's not as if it's a Grand Tour finish where you've got 9 riders. You've got only a select amount of riders, and you have to use them at the right time.
So right on a cue there, Scott Thwaites swings across and drops into the front. CCC in the centre in that bright orange. Jan Tratnik now out of the saddle. They've got Alan Banaszek that they're trying to get into a good position. Luke Durbridge for Orica Scott just looking around for his lead out. Kirienka is done. He now hands over to Geraint Thomas. He's got Mikhail Kwiatkowski on the wheel with Owain Doull, who's right in front of Elia Viviani. Strong lead out, and here come Lotto Jumbo in the yellow. Mark Cavendish sitting on the wheel of Edvald Boasson-Hagen, so it could be some interesting tactics coming in towards the finish here. Mark Cavendish maybe just trying to keep some people off Boasson-Hagen's wheel.
Yeah, the other thing is the bonus seconds, and obviously they're looking for them for Edvald Boasson-Hagen, but if Mark Cavendish can get up and take them away from others, that's the perfect scenario. 2.2 to go. Orica Scott in the front, but still Viviani. He's got two very good riders in front of him. He's got Kwiatkowski, who's a powerhouse, an own duel, but Bernie Iso is looking behind, and Team Dimension Data in a very good position, but also just look at the yellow jerseys as Groenewegen team are just about to pounce as well.
Michael Hepburn on the front here for Orica Scott. You see Niels Pollitt now grimacing as he tries to bring Alexander Kristoff through in that red jerseys, with Kristoff in that European champions colours. Mikhail Kwiatkowski, you can see they're constantly looking around. Mark Cavendish just battling for position. Tony Martin just trying to ride the front of that group there as they came in to that roundabout. We're looking towards the Flamme Rouge across the road. Tony Martin in that red jersey with a big K on his back, just looking around to see where Alexander Kristoff is. It Niels Pollitt that's trying to bring the European champion up towards the front. So Mikhail Kwiatkowski keeping the pressure on here for Team Sky. Tony Martin now gets Niels Pollitt on the wheel as they try to set up Alexander Kristoff. Mark Cavendish, you see there in those bright yellow glasses for Dimension Data. And also up there for One Pro Cycling, Hayden McCormick. He's just managing to ride onto the back of the lead-outs here, and a little elbow there from Marcel Seberg as the Great Britain jersey just comes alongside them. Quick Step Floors. Fernando Gaviria is very much in position. Caleb Ewan, 1 kilometre to go, and Dimension Data have control over the front of the peloton now. You've got these little turn with 400 metres to go after you swing around here. Bernie Eisel trying to set this one up now for Dimension Data. Team Sky still in a strong position. A wine duel now takes over on the front here. Elia Viviani is on the wheel with Roger Kluger, the teammate of our green jersey. Caleb Ewan, Mark Renshaw trying to bring Edvald Boasson-Hagen up towards the front. Remember, you're watching out for that Wiggle Points jersey of Boasson-Hagen. Caleb Ewan gets in onto the wheel, but perfectly here out of that corner there for Dimension Data. Boasson-Hagen is there. Viviani, Caleb Ewan, Alexander Kristoff, Dylan Groenewegen and Fernando Gaviria. It's Mark Renshaw on the front. Groenewegen moves out in the black and yellow for Lotte Jumbo, but Boasson-Hagen now opens up the sprint. Viviani does the same down the right-hand side of your picture. Boasson-Hagen comes through. Gaviria through the centre. Boasson-Hagen holds the power there. Fernando Gaviria just, you can see they're just gesturing slightly to Edvald Boasson-Hagen in that sprint. But crossing the line first there, and you see Elia Viviani there just complaining to Edvald Boasson-Hagen. Do you think that might go to a jury there, Brian?
No, I don't think Boasson-Hagen is that type of rider. He just, you know, gives him a pat in the back. Viviani just, I think, lost it in the final corner. Boasson-Hagen just talking to him at the moment. He may have drifted a little bit, but I don't think it was intentional. Just watch this here from the helicopter. And, you know, obviously Viviani is sitting in third place. Boasson-Hagen sitting on the wheel of Renshaw. Groenewegen opens up just as Edvald opens up. He does go to the right-hand side, but the road just bends ever so slightly to the left. He puts his head down there. And knowing Edvald, he doesn't intentionally come through. It wasn't an intentional switch, but he does come through and impede Viviani ever so slightly. I don't think he closes the door completely. Enough for Viviani to complain about it, but it's really down to the commissaires. Looking at the finish of the European Championships, it's going to be an interesting one, but he realises he's switched over, not intentionally, tries to correct his line, but the thing is with Edvald, he's given absolutely 100% here with the head down, and when that happens and you don't know where you're going, you kind of lose your kind of footing a little bit. Then he did drift off her. It's whether the commissaires thought he impeded Viviani enough to relegate him. We'll have to wait in the official result, but Boasson-Hagen is still the provisional winner of today's stage.
So after the race jury decided to relegate Edvald Boasson-Hagen, Elia Viviani was awarded the stage win. Dylan Groenewegen moves up to second, and Fernando Gaviria of Quick Step Floors in third place on the stage. It also means Viviani is now in the OVO Energy Leaders jersey, taking over from Caleb Ewan in second. Edvald Boasson-Hagen, though, still in touch. He doesn't get the time bonuses, but did finish on the same time as the group. No change in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition. Lukas Ausian of CC Sprandi Polkowice keeps the black jersey by virtue of his efforts up the road once more today. No change either in the Iceberg Sprints competition. Karol Domagalski, despite staying in the peloton, manages to hold on to enough points to keep hold of the jersey as well.
So Karol, another big long day out there in the saddle for you.
Yeah, actually I was all day in the peloton, in the back, take a rest today, so I try save energy maximum possibly. For us was a good situation because we've got Kamil Gradek in the front. He was fighting for the points, so that was really good for us.
Also the same winner for the Adnams Best British Rider Award as well. Chris Lawless of the Great Britain team taking that for the second day on the bounce.
Chris, top 10, 7th place. Congratulations. You happy with that?
No, I can't say I'm happy with it. I was hoping for a bit better. I think I had the legs to do a bit better, but it was just one of them things coming into the finish. I was a bit out of position and I had to move up. I mean, Noxie and Ollie Wood did a real good job today. But like a few of the other lads had a few problems. So yeah, we didn't have a full team at the finish, but with the lads we had left did really well.
So we got there in the end. Elia Viviani of Team Sky, officially the winner of today's second stage into Blyth. But Elia, it's not the way you would have wanted to have won it.
Yeah, for sure. When you win a stage, you can imagine to win a stage with hands up and clear on the line. So I'm disappointed because a few times this happened to me. So maybe I have only small bad luck. But yeah, finally I'm happy to have a stage win because is what we are here for. So we pulled yesterday, we pulled today. Disappointed a little bit from yesterday because I feel really okay, but finished third, really close on the line. And today we are really on it to try to win this stage.
You didn't have both hands in the air, but you certainly had one hand in the air, giving that Italian gesture of yours to Edvald Bosenhagen. What did you say to him after you crossed the line?
Yeah, what you do, because he comes straight from the right, totally right. So I don't. If it's only a small place, a small space to put the handlebar, I can understand, because if you put the handlebar on the barrier, normally you need to be worried to crash or stop pedaling or stop your sprint. But it's more than half road when I start my sprint, and then in 50 meters I don't have the space to pass him. So he is straight away sorry to me, and that's, I know Hedy is not, he is always a good guy, but yeah, today the right decision from the jury was I win the stage. So I'm really focused to finish second, because I know if it's the classement, only the second one win the stage. So I'm really focused the last 50 meters to beat Groenewegen, to be second on the stage.
Yeah, Elia, we see the form is great, and do you think you can keep that going for the rest of the week?
Yeah, I hope, because I really want to come to this Tour of Britain. It's a really important 8 days to do for the team and for me in this shape. After Plouay, I really want to come here, and there's a lot of chance for the sprinter, and also like a middle stage where I can do well with this condition. So we are here to try to take more stage win we can.
Ella, you have the OVO Energy Leaders jersey. You also have the Wiggle Points jersey as well to defend in tomorrow's stage 3, which is in Lincolnshire. Let's have a look.
Stage 3 is a flat stage for the peloton after the longest day on stage 2. There are 2 sprints in the Iceberg Sprints classification on the flat North Lincolnshire countryside at Crowle and Bottisford. The last chance for more sprint points at Scorby is sandwiched between 2 Category 3 climbs at Greetwell and Rawby Hill. The final Skoda King of the Mountains Cat 3 climb at Winterton could see an attack before the slightly uphill finish in Scunthorpe just 14 kilometres later.
Elia, 178 kilometres tomorrow, fairly flat actually. You got your special UK shoes on there as well to wear in defending the jersey. It should be another one for you if young Theo Geoghegan-Hart is pulling hard on the front once more.
Yeah, Theo do a really strong job in the last few days, 2 days, the first 2 days. So all the team really are focused on me for the sprint, and tomorrow is the finish is a little bit more hard than the normal for the sprinter, but with this shape, I think I can try.
I think many of the sprinters are in fantastic shape. Edvald Bosenhagen obviously is. Just unfortunate that he got relegated. Elia, well done to you. Very much deserved it in the end. Look, 178 Ks of live racing to look forward to tomorrow on ITV4. Coverage starts slightly later at 10:45. Highlights once more at 8 o'clock on ITV4. We'll see you then. Thanks for now. Bye-bye.